what can make it a Monday better than us getting to spend time with Jen from my holistic self? What in the world?
Aw, you honor me. Thank you. I'm
Well,
so excited to be here.
yes. Well, thank you. And I went to, oh, by the way, welcome to Laugh and Learn. Hello. And we're taking a slightly different spin. This is a laugh and learn, and it will be related to human design, because in the second part of this, Jen is going to take us through her website to be able to find the places to get human design charts done, which will be what will help everybody, because we have a show that we're going to be doing about well-being and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to be one of those things that will support you. So, okay. So again, this is for entertainment purposes only. Do not make any decisions based upon what we say. Seek professional assistance, really. And Jennifer, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing so much better. I was telling Jen backstage, I had the beautiful opportunity to present a color confidence for quilters workshop. It's a 3-day workshop, and that happened last week. I unplugged. I did not look at my emails. I focused on what was going on and paid attention to the experience. And boy, it was really very refreshing. And so when I got back, I was, yeah, okay. So again, I planned very well, because on the Saturday I got back, I had 3 shows that I was doing, or 4 shows, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute." So it's one of those things that it's like, ooh. But anyhow,
Loaded up when you got back.
yes, but that's okay. That's okay. And
Nice and refreshed, though, to step into it. It sounds like.
yes. Oh yeah. Let's say hi to some of the best chatters. We have the best chatters. We have the best lurkers. We have work lurkers, and we have future lurkers. So I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you. So we have Kaylee from Fogo Pogo is here. Hello. Hypnicity is here. Oh, that is so sweet of you to say that. It's become one of my favorite hours.
That is awesome.
So that's nice. Kimby is here. Hello, Kimby. Thank you. See, there you go. Jen makes Kaylee's.
So sweet.
And Moira D is here. Hello. And Hypnicity is already wanting to attend the mental health and well-being class and conversation. Russ Bob's Barbara is here. Hi. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So, truth be told, I have for the last week or so been thinking about balance, mostly because yesterday was the autumnal equinox here in the northern hemisphere. Mm-hmm. So for those in the southern hemisphere, it's the vernal equinox. It is the spring equinox. And it is one of those things, the equinoxes for me in my spiritual path, equinoxes are, well, let's just back up. Equinoxes, equal light, equal day, equal night. And so did you want to say anything about the equinox?
Me?
Yeah, you. I mean, take notes, man. I mean,
yeah. I mean, I love the equinoxes. When we talk about times of year and all of that, I have to say, being born right by the summer solstice, I find equinoxes to feel very balancing
Mm-hmm.
for
Mm-hmm.
me.
Yeah.
Um, and I love the transition that goes along with them as well. Right.
Yes.
When we're just at that place of, as you say, that equa day, equa night, like we're given opportunities of deep transition during these times. And so looking at balance, it's such an important piece, because how do we transition and how do we move between those energies is going to be
Mm-hmm.
really important. And if we don't have balance as we make those transitions, that's going to impact us all the way through.
You said a lot there. Uh, and I think it's really beautiful, because the idea of we need to have balance while we transition.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that how, being balanced and being imbalanced. It's the sound of one hand clapping. It's the Buddhist koans. So it's like, how do we understand that? So yeah. Cookie is here. Hello, Cookie.
Well,
Oh,
hello.
Gailey's like, I was trying. My week last week felt so off.
Throws it off, right?
Yes, yes. Um, and I see my internet is a little wonky. My internet is not balanced. Uh, um, Balance has been huge for me lately. Trying to find a balance between burying my head in the sand, staying informed, and obsessing over current events in the news.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely something that we need to find balance for.
Yes. Yes. So, um, so for me, part of my practice is what I'm paying attention to the week before and the week after the equinox, is where energetically I'm saying to the universe, this is where I want to spend my time. So I'm very conscious about what I'm focusing on. So
Mhm.
and that's something that's impactful for me.
Yeah.
I can also tell you, and this is again for entertainment purposes only, I can tell you, as a diabetic, I've noticed that it's the equinoxes which my body says, wait a minute, what are we doing? How are we doing this? And then I have to make adjustments under the help of a licensed professional on how to adjust
Mhm.
to that. So it's very interesting, and that's just an awareness that I have. So, were you going to add something else?
Well, just to bring up, and you had mentioned this actually before we came on when we were talking about the topic, just about how, certain energies will carry with them energy into the future. Right. And so when we look
Mm-hmm.
at equinoxes, when we look at solstices, when we look at even the full moon with intentions, eclipses, things like that, we want to recognize that the energy that we carry forth from those times, they're not just going to impact us for the next couple of days.
Yes.
Right. They're going to impact us, throughout the, coming months. And sometimes, especially with like really significant moments, they're going to impact us, like you talk about, say, an eclipse. Now, every time we have that moon again, that energy comes back,
Yes.
right, until the next one. And so I think that it's important just to recognize that what we are spending energy on around these times is going to follow us. And so making those, changes as you're talking about are really quite powerful, because
Mm-hmm.
they're not just static.
No, no, they're definitely fluid. So I encourage people who are watching, thank you for being here. Links below on how to contact us so that you can show your support. And I did jot down a couple of questions, and Jen has. I did not share with Jen what these questions were. Uh, um, and please, in the chat, or if you're watching the playback, I'm interested is what is balance? What is
Mhm.
balance? And I think for me, Balance is when I feel fluid and I am agile. I am actually able to just float. I am the Two of Pentacles in action. I'm able to do the things that need to be done, not do the things that don't need to be done. Hello, Zane, Tarot Token Witchery. Good to see you.
Hello, hello.
So, but Zane, what do you call balance? What is balance for you? Putting Zane on the spot.
There you go.
Yeah.
As you put Zane on the spot, I'll share a little bit. So for me, the concept of as above, so below, right? That everything has its counterpart, and that if we get too in one thing over the other, we lose that balance. Right? And so looking at a lot of, mystical teachings about the middle way, the middle road, and what that means and what that looks like for us. For me, balance is not about, trying to hold these two things firmly, but to be able to ebb and flow between them in a way that feels and resonates, as you're talking about with flow.
Yes. That's well said. That's very well said. I am also it's having interest in things without expectations of outcomes.
Oh, that's a beautiful balance.
Yeah, that's definitely a beautiful balance. And there's this need. I was actually driving to a Maybon celebration on Saturday, and there were a couple of youngsters there, and I say youngsters in the sense that they're curious and they're learning about different traditions. And part of it was I was asking them what the divine feminine was for them and what the divine masculine was. Because this is the balance of the season, is really a beautiful balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And how they are equally important. One is not better than the other. They're equally powerful. It's just how they demonstrate that. So Kristen Louise is here. Hello, Kristen.
Hello.
And okay, Melani's like, easier said than done. Yes. Yes. So, but I think that, because a lot of times there's when things are not balanced, things go wrong. We don't have enough of what we need in order to survive. And it's really hard.
Yeah. Well, and even thinking about, as you were talking about with the divine feminine and divine masculine, that idea that they're both equally important. I find that one of the areas that we often are out of balance is our relationship with emotions, right? So we talk about well-being, and, that is often something that's very much out of balance because we decide certain ones are good and certain ones are bad. And so, what Hypnicity shared too is around that idea of, allowing interest without expectation or outcome, right? How often do we not honor that when it comes to our own emotions?
Yeah, that's so true. That's a really interesting point. I've always struggled with that, learning how to adjust with that and to understand you can't suppress one emotion because you suppress them all. They're interlinked. So yeah.
But when they talk about, middle of the road kind of teachings, one of the things is, can we be in that middle of the road place, right, where we're just, a little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit up, a little bit down, right? But we seek these high highs, but we have to recognize that in balance, there's also low lows, right? And so if we want to be able to ride waves that are, slow, we have to be able to recognize that we're not going to be able to have certain extremes without having other extremes, right? Because everything does come back to balance.
Yes. 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 Of course, Zane brings it. Second, oh gosh, I don't do well under pressure. Balance is finding a way to bring all aspects of yourself into alignment. Well said, Zane.
Well said. Mm-hmm.
Well said. I wrote down the word alignment. That's something that's important. And I also like how you were talking about we have these ebbs and flows. We have these extremes. It's keeping the extremes, and how long do we stay in that extreme?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk. I know there's a natural tendency for some people, whether it be a birth sign, their human design, astrology, things like that. There's a natural tendency to struggle with things, and being aware of that really helps.
Mm-hmm.
It can help us get back in alignment.
Exactly. Well, and I think that to what Zane was sharing there is the more that we accept all of the different parts of ourselves, the more in balance we can be. Because again, that idea of if I only like these light aspects, but I don't like these shadow aspects, it's like, okay, but our shadow is also our genius. Like we have to recognize that this is an area where we actually could bring our gifts to the world if we understood it and we accepted it and we worked through it. Because now that's a beautiful skill that we have that we can bring forward. But again, if we don't maintain that balance and we want one thing over the other, we don't step into that.
Yes. So we're certainly not living authentically of who we are. And the authentic aspect of ourselves is it's the light, it's the shadow, it's the spots, it's the it's everything.
Everything.
So wait a minute, Kristen Louise said, that's so true. I have been working hard on allowing myself to feel my feeling authentically and deeply, but some emotions are harder than others. Yeah. When it comes to researching hot topics, people seem to have curiosity deficit disorder. What are they afraid of? Oh, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to explore this until I find something that makes me uncomfortable. So,
yeah, or I'm going to explore this, but not that.
yes. Well, and it is one of those things. I know Michelle Marie, Astrological Tarot, talked about, one of the great things to do is if you're interested in a topic and you have an opinion, go explore the opposite opinion about it to really understand what you believe and how you connect with it. I think that's a really interesting thing. So
yeah, no, that's fantastic. If we have a strong opinion, to be able to fight the opposite side of it, right, can be really, really powerful in understanding why do I even believe what I believe about this.
Well, and that's something also in balance is, I think, thinking about this for me, sometimes I'm in balance because I haven't really continued to grow and evolve my own perspective because I am different from when we started the video. So Christine shared, I don't do well with pressure, anxiety, even when I am a graduate level clinical psychology. Our brains are not wired for it to think logically. I don't do well with pressure, anxiety, even when I am a graduate level clinical psychology. Our brains are not wired for it and to think logically.
So true. So this is where I get into my soapbox on the whole human design thing too, because
Go for it.
the mind jumps in, and the mind feels like it has to resolve everything. It has to understand it. It has to have the logical, aspects of it, and it has to be able to really grab hold of a concept. But when we really look at what is truth for us, it's about where the body holds the wisdom, right? But the mind is going to negate that on a regular basis. And so when we think about, this idea of anxiety or pressure, the mind is going to go, I don't like this. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want to have to face this. And yet the mind consistently puts us in that place of having to face it and having to deal with it. Right? So again, let's look at balance. Right? If we can recognize that the mind is just a whole bunch of computer programs, is the way I like to look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all of our programming from our past experiences, our traumas, our core belief systems, all of that kind of stuff. And so when we look at it and go, okay, the mind is operating from past. It always is. It's always operating from experienced programs that it's developed in there.
Okay.
Even the fears that it has for the future, they're coming from previous knowing. And I say knowing in knowing because it's not true knowledge. So when we look at, okay, how do I have this balance piece? It's really, can I recognize how much overt power I'm giving to the mind that's taking away from my intuition, my body's knowing, my true authority and strategy, what's really going to guide me, right? There's no balance in that. We give so much power to the mind.
We do.
Right? And we don't recognize its place or what it's actually meant to be doing for us.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, so that is true, that understanding the human design will help give us more opportunities to find our alignment and get into the acceptance. Because if I have, it's like with any of the great, there's a lot of great personality chart things out there, but if we have some acceptance, my natural tendency is to do this, and I expect that to happen. I think that gives me the opportunity to plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Because, it's like, so I have ADHD, and I have framed it in the sense that it is a superpower for me.
Mm-hmm.
I can do all of this stuff at a certain level for a period of time. If I am operating at that level all of the time, I am not I'm not balanced, and I'm not finding alignment. So
Right.
I want to say hi to Vicki Howell.
Hello.
And Teresa Ford has shared, I struggle with understanding where the balance is between allowing emotions, the dignity of space, and being in detachment. Ooh,
Yeah.
that's beautiful.
Yeah,
And
it really is. And this comes back to, Gerald, what you were saying earlier about, how much emotion do we allow in our experience? Tinahan, in one of his talks, actually said that we have every emotion within us all of the time, but the one that we feel is the one we hold on to. Right? And so when we really look at that, we go, okay, am I holding on to this emotion because I'm allowing myself to process it and feel through it in order to release it? Or am I holding on to it because it's doing something for me? Right? And even negative emotions do things for us.
Yes,
right?
they
So
do.
being really deeply honest with ourselves about, why am I allowing this to flow through me? Why am I holding it? Right? Because we want to always allow it to flow. And when it flows, it does go. Right? If you let it flow, it will go.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if we're holding on to it, we have to ask ourselves, what's going on here? Why do I have this grip on it? And sometimes we have a grip on it and we're feeling it. And sometimes we have a grip on it and we're going, no, no, thank you.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
But we're still holding it.
Yes.
Right?
So wise. So wise. And Kimby added, To me, balance is finding your center, knowing that one may have to lean left or right at different times in our life.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And being flexible enough to do that.
Mm-hmm.
When, I go back to that idea of alignment and acceptance, aligning and accepting who we are and our core values is so very important. How often are we evaluating our core values?
Yeah.
Because we are different, the world around us is different, and there's an opportunity to do some things differently.
Yeah.
So
It's beautiful. So in my practice, I use a lot of acceptance and commitment therapy, and some of the pillars with that, one is values, and the other is value-based action. And we actually look at that and go, okay, what is truly important for me to have in my experience, right? What values do I hold? And I like to take it a little bit further and go, okay, how many of these values are actually mine, and how many of them are shoulds that I think I should have in my experience?
yes.
But part of that practice is using what's called a life map. And one of the things that's really important to notice when we use that is certain times one particular value will actually contradict another value that we hold.
Oh.
And so we have to recognize, to your point, Kim, is when we move from, towards one value, we may actually be moving away from another one for a period of time. And that's okay as long as we can come back into balance, right? And allow for those things in our experience.
Yeah. And Kim B said, I picture a seesaw. Well, yeah. And Kim B also said, I truly believe our thoughts affect our alignment, thus no balance. And, there's the idea of, for those who do tarot, the Wheel of Fortune. Let me pull this out. The Wheel of Fortune is the card of change. Things are going to always be different. When we do something, when we're on the outside here, when the change hits, we really are discombobulated. It really throws us off balance. When we are closer to the center, our center, things change, things move. We move with it, and we can find our center. We can find our alignment faster.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's easy. I'm never saying any of this is easy, but it's that idea of that balance of if we're closer to our balance and center when things are good, when things are a certain way, and when they change, then we can find our balance quickly. So,
I love that example and the visual that goes with it.
Yeah, it's a big thing. Kristen Louise brought up, and I want to put this up here. Our nervous systems can fall into fight, flight, freeze, or fawn when past traumas are felt in the body. Balance is essential to processing through these visceral reactions of our past traumas. Yes.
Most definitely.
And I think it's so powerful to find people who can help support you whilst you're processing through those very visceral reactions. I mean, those type of reactions, if you don't have them and you're watching someone have them, it's really scary. It can be very off-putting. So I just got a little bit of on my soapbox there. It's like, and that's why my mentor, when I was studying Gestalt therapy, postgraduate work, it was like, good therapists need good therapists. And it's like, good people need good friends who are just going to flat out say, what the heck are you doing? Or, I hear what you're saying, and reflect back. It's so powerful.
Yeah. Well, and I just, before we move on from that, really recognizing in whatever kind of support we find, there's a lot of talk about, from top down or bottom up, right? Like, are we going to start with the mental health and just work from there? Or are we going to start from the body and just work from there? And really looking at it from an inside out, right? We're going to bring in all of it together and work on that, right? So we can't just work on one piece and not the other piece, right? We have to do both simultaneously, because, we have books out there like When the Body Keeps Score, right? Or When the Body Says No, right? The body really will continue to have those reactions, even if we're trying to process through. So we have to work on both together in order to really bring about holistic healing. Right? So again, balance. It's another kind of balance.
Is that why you named your services what you did?
Yes.
Thank you for sharing this, Christian Louise. You're right, and I think it is one of those things. I also think is it the Greek motto, all things in moderation, including moderation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, can I say, Jen, your voice is so calming and soothing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. And yeah, it's truly an inside job. No one can walk your path, our path for us.
Yeah.
No one can walk our path for us, but they can hold our hands.
Mm-hmm.
They can cheer us on. They can listen. They can hand us a bottle of water when we need to go, okay, I needed that. So, okay, just getting caught up.
Yeah, you guys are chatting so much. It's
This
awesome.
is beautiful.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, great dialogue is a missing art form.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for demonstrating it here. Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
And joyful journey is here, Jen.
Hello.
And yeah, it can be, past traumas are huge.
Yeah.
And being willing to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so be the willow in the wind. Yes.
Yes.
Lunar love and light. The problem is trying to heal past trauma in the midst of constantly being triggered on the same trauma, keeping you in that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn cycle, not allowing the healing phase to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I think having a professional be able to help you and to assist you is so critical in that. It's so critical. And here, wait a minute. For entertainment purposes only. That's why I think a holistic approach is really beneficial, because sometimes Western medicine is extremely helpful to get people to slow down or become aware. Then you have beautiful Eastern medicine. Then you have energy medicine.
Mm-hmm.
These are all things that I think are really powerful.
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional thinking about a good friend of mine. I've spoken about her before. Number one, she and I did Tai Chi. We worked together for a long time. But she was getting acupuncture for just to maintain her health. And then it was discovered that she had a particular form of cancer. And she talked to her oncologist and said, I'd like to continue getting acupuncture. Is that okay? And the doctor was like, yes, that is absolutely perfect. You have my full support on that. And the acupuncturist, was like going, I am going to keep your liver healthy whilst you do this. So it was a beautiful give and take. And it was so amazing. So
yeah, that's incredible. And we I think that we look for all of these kind of things to help, but we don't always look at the way that they can be so beautifully interconnected, right? And again, we're talking about balance, and having a balance of different modalities and different ways to treat ourselves and take care of ourselves is really important in this process, right? We talk about, yeah, we get triggered still. And so how do we navigate that, right? What tools do we have in our toolbox to be able to come back to balance?
Yes.
Right? Come back to that ventral vagal state, to be able to come back to a place where we actually have the ability to work on healing, right? Because
You mean this stuff?
that is definitely one of our options for sure.
Sorry, I haven't got all this stuff. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the basic exercise from that book is one that I use with clients all the time to bring ourselves back into social engagement, right? We were in our fight, flight, freeze, fawn state, and it's not always easy to talk ourselves through that.
Yes.
Right. And we don't always think about, okay, what do I need right now? Like if I'm feeling flight, like maybe I need to go for a run. Right. If I'm feeling fight, maybe I need to be able to go like, punch a pillow, whatever it is that I need to do to move the energy. But we don't even necessarily notice in the moment that we're in it, other than the fact that we're activated and we just want it to end. Right. And so being able to have tools that we can use to bring ourselves back, especially if we're in a situation where we can't just end it right in that moment.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Can help. And, taking that a step further, again, the mind operates from a place of memory, right? So if it's gone through trauma, it's filtering everything back through that trauma.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And until we actually have experiences that are different, that the mind can tangibly go, wait a minute, this is actually different. It's not going to file it anywhere differently in our mind.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's so good. And I want to get caught up in some of the amazing things the chat is saying. And it is truly an inside job. Nobody can walk our path with us. Yes. And Joanne Miranda is here. Hello. And Cottonwood Heart has joined us. Hello. And yes, lunar love and light. Good help is monumental in keeping balance. It's one of those things that helps. Sometimes people come into our lives for a season or for a lifetime or for an incident, and honoring that and accepting that is really, really important. And Nalani is in hermit mode, trying to heal things from your childhood. I'm very proud of you for that. That takes courage. Kristen Louise says, some clinicians say that whenever our nervous system is triggered, the stress response cycle needs to be completed if we are to begin processing the trauma. Don't ask me how that's done, though. Sort of like it's just like once the cycle started, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jen, it doesn't need to, you filled the balloon up with air, and you need to release that air. Does it release the same way that you've done before, or do you release it in a different way? So can that cycle be completed? Like you were saying, if you're in that flight response, going out for a run may help with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we talk about completing it. Let's go deep into this, right? Nothing is ever created or destroyed. Right? Energy isn't created or destroyed. So energy in our body isn't created or destroyed, but it is transformed. It's transmuted. So what do we want to do with that energy? Right? When we talk about completing a cycle, it's going to complete in one way or another. If we actually take ownership of the fact that we have a cycle, we get to choose how we want to complete it. Right? Do I want to complete this in the same patterns that I always completed in?
Oh, yeah.
That end up in shutting down, fighting, having our immune system compromised, all of the things that go along with the nervous system being in dysregulation, right? We talk about irritable bowel. We talk about there's so many physiological symptoms that we end up having as part of not allowing this to flow properly.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
right?
Well, and I'm going to go back to the amazing share that Zane did, and using the word alignment. When we accept that we're not in alignment, then we have the ability to not just make choices, but to make conscious adjustments to get us back into alignment.
Mm-hmm.
So Teresa Ford brought up, at times I struggle with treating past trauma as a temporary house guest rather than a roommate. That's a wonderful visual.
Mm-hmm.
And a friend of mine, Robin from Toadstool Tarot, was talking about doing things. It's like when he's trying to meditate. I hope it was Robin. If it's not, it's probably somebody else, and I want to give full credit. But the idea is that if you're trying to do meditation and these thoughts are coming into your head, picture yourself sitting on a bench in a park, and you're just watching the people walk by. They're not sitting down with you, and they're not having a cup of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So with you. So, and by the way, Hypnicity agrees with you, Teresa.
Yeah.
Visit the past. Don't take up residence there. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I like that. It's a lesson, not a life sentence, right? We go through something, and Gabor Mate talks about trauma in a couple different ways that I really appreciate. And one is that, we have to get to the place where we recognize that we have survived the trauma. Otherwise, we continue to relive the trauma, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as long as we are allowing ourselves to relive it over and over again, we've taken up residence there,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if we can recognize that we have actually survived that trauma, and this is hard because even if we're in a different situation, the mind can continually put us back there. So we feel like we're still living it. But this is part of the work that we can do to actually go back and go, okay, when was that moment that I was in a different situation, right? When something changed and I was able to get beyond that moment, right?
Yeah.
And then we work from there.
Yes. And I just got an interesting visual, Teresa, with your support system. I love the idea of treating your trauma like a house guest, because if they've taken up residence, you could actually do a spell of an eviction notice.
Mm-hmm.
This
I
could be
love that.
something. Yeah. Jen's like going, ooh, Gerald. So you could actually write an eviction notice, and you say, these are things that you must take with you.
Yeah, I love
And
that.
these are the things that belong in this house.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in that, Teresa. A lot of power. So Jonathan Daly is here. He's a little late. Jonathan, I'm glad you're here. That's all that matters.
Hello.
And Art Mancy is listening. These are new concepts for them. And Art will be on with Jamie and me tomorrow for a laugh and learn. No, not a laugh and learn, for a back and forth. Back and forth. Yeah. When our chakras are in alignment, we have balance. Yes. And how often, okay, let me ask you this. How often are people checking if their chakras are in balance? I'm not doing it every day.
Well, and this is the piece where we talk about, like, what tools do you have? We have so many available to us. How many of them do we actually use?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right?
Well, and that goes back to this idea of is we have to remember that we have these tools.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get into our magical toolkits? How do we get into our mental health toolkits? First of all, how do we remember, oh, I'm carrying a hammer around, and what I need is a screwdriver right now instead of a hammer, and press pause and go, all right, let me remember that.
Yeah.
Let me remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Do people who have near-death experiences process things differently? I don't know. They can?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you think about every experience that we have changes us,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even having this conversation changes us on some level. So if every experience we have changes us, if we have an experience that brings us to a place where we reevaluate our life and our experience, we can definitely use that as a means of being intentional moving forward.
Yes. That's powerful. That's powerful. Teresa Ford said yes. Teresa, I totally love this idea of you writing an eviction notice.
That is
Just,
fantastic.
I'm just like going. I mean, and you could make it pages and pages and pages, and it's just like, or not. And that's part of it is the intention. I'm getting very, very animated and loud. Kristen Louise shared, for years I had convinced myself that my childhood traumas weren't a big deal. Only when I validated the trauma happened and I validated, and it ultimately doesn't own me, I was able to start confronting it.
Yes.
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yes.
Like,
this is it for any work that we do, right? If we just push it down or push it aside or don't acknowledge it, it has a lot more power.
mm-hmm.
Right? The moment that we look at it and go, I see you, I get it, right?
Yep.
Now we're beginning that process of taking back our power.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah. Whew. I love that. And I oftentimes need to remember that I have more tools in my toolkit than what I remember. I mean, because part of it is it's almost like it's I remember when my grandmother, I think, started having Alzheimer's. She lived with us for about 6 months, and she kept asking the same question over and over and over again. And I don't know if that's Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever, but my mother actually wrote a note of answering her basic questions. And I'm wondering if that's an opportunity for us to, a couple of times a day, we could write, it's just like going, I have this ability, I have this ability, I have this ability, I have this ability. These are things that I can do. Can I activate? Can I use any of these superpowers right now? I love that. I think I need to. That's like it's like a morning affirmation. So, okay. Okay. So, I mean, any surprise, Jen, that we needed to talk about this today?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. And Lunar Love and Light, whose name I cannot remember. Not delayed, just chasing toddlers. LOL. Idea. If it's a house guest taking up residency, I'm going to write an eviction notice letter that would help heal, or at least a good thing worth trying. I think I think it's going to do a whole lot of healing.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it from so many different standpoints, right? One, you're setting an intention, right? And you're setting an intention for healing. You're also writing it. This is so powerful when it comes to healing, because as long as it's spinning around up here, the mind thinks it makes sense. The moment that we have to say it or write it, we get to challenge it as well. And so if there's a part of us that is giving this house guest that's taken up residence power, we are having to challenge how much of our power we've been giving to it.
Yes.
At the same time that we're releasing it, right? So now we've got that going for us as well. Plus, we're moving ourselves back into a state of taking our residence back, right?
Yes.
And really owning the fact that it doesn't have a say.
Isn't that interesting? Also, thinking about residences and our homes, when we rearrange furniture, not only do we bring up dust, but we also bring up attachments to things. So it's always an important thing of anytime you do energy clearing. I mean, There's a playlist on the channel about cleansing, grounding. Maybe I should, revisit some of those, because cleansing is a powerful, powerful thing. It's just like taking a shower, or a bath if you so choose. So, okay. So one of the things that I wanted to do is because Jen and I are going to be talking about some more things, and I want her to share where you can find your I want to say your charts, their graphs, the things, and I call spell writing adding dimension to intention. This definition seems to soothe my mother, who is scared of my witchiness. I love that.
Yes.
Adding dimension. Well, and it's like with anything. If you do it more than one way, it can really make sense. So I am going to be adding this to the stage. I want to remove that. And there is a dog who has joined us. So Jen's website, the one right there, actually is linked below, but she's going to take us through where you can get some human design information that will help inform you and give you more of an understanding and opportunity. So,
okay, so if we're going to go in, you're just going to go through services and human design coaching. And it's going to bring you to a page here where you can put in your chart. So we're just going to go ahead with mine. I don't care if you guys see it. All right.
Want me to take it off, or you've already got it up?
No, that's okay. Oh, they want my address again. I'm going to use no, I'll just use this. There we go. Okay, here we go. So what it'll do is it's going to actually give you right there in the web page a chart that you can look at. This is your body graph. You can actually hover over the different centers, and it's going to tell you about having it defined or undefined, depending on what that center is for you. You can come over here, and you're going to get to see your aura type, strategy, authority, about your definition. So definition here has to do with your defined center. So I'm a split definition. What that means is my head and ajna right here are connected. You can see with this channel here. But then I also have my throat, my sacral, my G and my splenic connected here. And there's no connection between the two, right? There's no channel that connects them, which makes me a split definition. And when we get into really reading into the chart with our health and wellness and mental health and all that kind of stuff, that plays a big part. And then profile type, our incarnation cross, which is about our purpose. Our signature. So signature is about what we feel when we're in alignment. Again, talking about, alignment here. Mm-hmm. And then our not self theme is what we feel when we're out of alignment. And these are kind of our overall ways of feeling, because we're looking specifically at those that are associated with our aura type. But there are going to be different ones that show up for us. As an example, let's say you're a generator, but we look at, I think it's 22 out of the 36 channels are actually projected channels. We still need to wait for that invitation for them. Mm-hmm. So when we're not, we can still feel bitterness, even if that's not necessarily our theme, right? So we're going to talk about how these things show up and how they impact our mental health and our wellness. It's going to get into a bit of the personal health system. So it's going to talk about digestion, our sense, and our design sense. So these are about how we feel into our experience, motivation, what moves us, perspective. We're going to talk a bit about transference, which shows up in human design. So transference is really the idea that we move from where our design is into the opposite. And I'll get into all of that more. But there are also signs for us that we're out of alignment, right? Okay. So I know that if I'm operating in my transferred state, I'm not in alignment and it's not going to feel good over time. Um, and then we're going to look at our environment and channels so that you're going to get all of that information, and you can actually go over here and hit download PDF. Now, the
Oh,
program
nice.
isn't grand spectac, so it is going to download it exactly as it is on the site, but that's okay. And then at the bottom here, you've got a bunch of free things as well. So you can download the body graph, which is just going to give you kind of the basic information. And then you can also do a mini health report. This is going to talk about specific centers that are associated with health and just ways to work through them. Mini relationship report, if you want to put in, mini relationship report is going to be specifically about how you show up in relationships. Again, looking at open and defined centers. There is a report here that you can buy. It's $5, and it's going to go into all of the centers for you and look a little bit deeper into some of those areas. And the other thing that's up here is a relationship chart. So what you can do if you're going to do that is you would put in a second person, and then it would pull up a relationship chart for you to see. I don't know that I have any. I don't know. I have a bunch of me in there. But yeah, so it'll show all of that for you. And
all
so those are
free. Yes.
This is all for free, and I'm going to be putting out a much bigger report, but it is a massive work in progress. But it's going to get into all of your channels, all of your gates. It's going to really talk about the shadow work that goes with your chart and all of that. So,
and this is a build up because, I've been fortunate enough to have Jen join me for a discussion about human design. All of those videos are in the playlist that is attached. There's probably, is it 20 hours yet?
Oh, probably.
At
And
least.
on that page, if you scroll down, I've also put them all on the webpage in order. So you can go through the YouTube channels, you can play it right there on the website.
And so and again, it's a conversation for, I'm not aware of, I don't know human design. However, Jen does, pretty much like the back of her hand. And she's quite articulate at describing it. So why do you want this stuff? Is because the next time when we talk, when we look at mental health, having an awareness of your body graph and your centers is going to help provide some understanding. So, so there's that. Jonathan asked, does not knowing the exact location, time, location and time mess with the accuracy of the chart?
It can. So what we want to do is, as close to the location as possible is valuable. And then time, we can do what's called a birth time range. And so we can look at the entire day and see how it shifts, right? And some people are going to experience extreme shifts where they're actually going to go from one aura type to another throughout the day. Whereas some are the same all day long, right? So being able to look at the variations in the chart might help you to determine what time really resonates for you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I know that was something interesting I did with Michelle Marie Astrological Tarot as she was looking at my Vedic chart, because there was some confusion about my AM or PM. And she was asking me some very specific questions. And I'm looking, oh, that is not me at all. And she's like, okay, you're definitely this one then.
Yeah.
Because they're different. So, so we will be scheduling another Laugh and Learn and talking about human design for mental health. And this is also part of the idea of working towards well-being. This is, and I use the word work because this is work, and sometimes work is really hard, And sometimes work is really hard and very satisfying. And sometimes work is really hard and can be a lot of fun. So, and it's like when if you were a gardener and you need to weed and gardening makes you happy, it's nothing for you to go out and garden for a while.
Right.
However, there's a pace for it and a place. So, but yeah, so, and Jonathan said, I was born in Mexico on a waterbed, and my mom had a wind-up clock. I can never find the Santa Maria del Tonazina in anyone's online charts.
Okay. Well, I can take a look and see what we do often, especially because there's going to be times too where people are born in, little towns or things that are really they're just not going to be on the map. Yes. Right. And so what we do is we look at the map and we find the closest kind of bigger town that the map will allow us to use. And then we go from there. Right. So we just see if we can, find it that way.
Yeah.
And actually, I just put it into my genetic matrix. And it does come up. It comes up in Puebla. So if that is accurate for you, then we can do it.
They try Cholula as the closest, but of course, we are all aware of this. But I wouldn't say that this is a bad thing, but there's a great deal of satisfaction of being able to see your work reach more people because of its accuracy. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so, and here you go. Kristen Louise has already popped in. Apparently, I'm a manifesting generator. I need to research this.
Yeah, so go ahead and watch some of the videos. That's going to help you to understand it, and go from there. You can pull up that chart. There you go. That's another great option.
And, purchase responsibly, know your limits. There are good resources out there. This is one that I have that's it's a heavy book. I mean, literally, it's heavy.
Yeah. But it's also heavy in what it has.
Yes. So
yeah.
And then the gene keys.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and Richard Rudd has his own version of of the first one you showed there. It's this one here. It doesn't have as much information in it, though, in terms of all of the gates and all of that. He has a separate channels book, but there's a lot of information out there, and you can kind of get lost in all of it. So I would say anything that is from Ra Uruhu, because he is the one who channeled from the voice this message, or anything from Richard Rudd and the Gene Keys is going to be really great tools if you want to really deep dive into it more. And obviously, if you want to do a reading, you can always reach out and we can schedule that. And Jonathan, if you want to reach out, send me an email and we can sit down together and just go through the birth time range and see what fits for you. And then you can go from there.
There you go. And all of Jen's links are below. So you can do that. But it's important for me to remind people the reason that I want to spend time with this is to, especially as it relates to human design, when we understand who we are naturally and what our tendencies are, then we can use those skills to help us manifest and do all of the work and that we need to do. Because it's like, if I'm sitting you down at a drum set and forcing you to do drums and you have no natural tendency for drums, but I put you in front of a keyboard and you just fly with that, why argue and why push against our natural tendencies? I mean, there's probably a whole lot of reasons, but I would say, no, we're not talking about that. So,
No. And well, we bring it back to balance and alignment, right? So often I have clients when we do readings or we go through this or they learn about their design and they go, that resonates so much. And so much of my life, I've been told I have to be different.
yep.
Right. And it gives us permission to go, okay, I can just be me and it's okay. This is actually how I'm meant to be in the world.
Yes.
And then we find balance in that.
I love that because I can't remember, there are times when, we've been looking at stuff and you've said something and I went, yep. I mean, and you recognize that. And it's really nice for us to be seen who we are as who we are. I mean, because let's face it, as youngsters and adults, we really want people to just see us.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming up on your channel or for the rest of the week, Jen?
Well, I have Twillo Talk at 5 Eastern today. So in about 2 hours from now. And that is with Tanis at Twillo Lifestyle. And we do authentic spiritual conversation. So we talk about whatever we're told to talk about. One of the things, though, that we always start with is kind of like the energetic weather report. And so Tanis will share a bit about
that energetic weather report.
Yeah. What's going on in the Schumann and all of that. And then I'm going to share about the transits and talk about the energies that are impacting us for, the week, give or take. It's about 6 days with each transit. But it's really a neat thing to know what's going on because the more that we understand the transits, the more we recognize patterns in what's coming up for us emotionally, what's showing up, what we're kind of hyper-focusing on, some of our reactions that may be getting pulled from us because of those energies. So again, when we want to stay in balance, knowing what's there can be really, really helpful.
Laura, every Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern time, you're going to be getting the energetic weather report.
So I didn't share this, and maybe I should. On my other website, passengerconsciousness.ca, I actually, do we have a minute? Can we just go a little bit longer? Hold on, let me just pull it up. All right, let's see if I can share here.
You should be able to.
And present, share screen, passenger consciousness, and there we go.
There you go.
Okay. So this is my other website. This one's dedicated specifically to human design. So you can also go ahead and get your chart on here, get your free chart. See, it's going to be there. And it actually gives you a little bit of a breakdown of what's in the $5 reading that's there. And there's also one for business. So you can get a free report on how you are in business if you want that one. But what's over here is you'll see calendar. And so if you click on calendar, it will actually show you the transit right now in the moment, what's showing up. And so here is where everything is, each gate, and what line it's in for the day, in each of the different planets, and the nodes are in there as well. And what you can do if you scroll down is I actually have how to read a human design calendar. And so you go through and you can look at each of the line days in order to determine if it's a good day to do something or not. For instance, a line 3 day is not a great day to travel. A line 4 day is a great day for networking. So you get to really look at what day it is if you're wanting to plan different things. And then I try to stay on top of it, but then you'll actually have the calendar, right? And so you'll be able to look at that and go, oh, okay, we're right here. We're in the 23rd. Now notice too, they don't always go Sunday to Saturday. It really is where the first is where they start.
I see. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. But we'll look at it and we go, okay, it's the 23rd. And it's a day 4. So we went from a 3 into a 4 today. So today's a great day for networking, great day for doing lives and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting. And so we can see, there's the transits and how they're showing up for us. And then I actually break down how to give yourself a little reading with the calendar. And I give you a sample one that I did in June. So you can see kind of what it's all about and how to navigate it. And that's all right there for you for free on the site.
Wow. Okay. And you will want to do some of these charts. Does it follow with numerology breakdown?
Not as familiar with the numerology breakdown, but it does follow the I Ching. Let me pull out another picture really quick. Do I have it in here? I never remember where I stashed different pictures that I want to use for things.
And by the way, Laura Hammond Davis said that's actually possible. We could go prime time. Real major news channel. Yes.
There you go. That would be awesome. All right. It's I can't find it. I'm so not on top of some of these things sometimes. When it comes to just having my pictures all over the place, I'll use this one. It'll work. It'll be good. So this isn't quite the one that's with human design. I was hoping to just pull out my human design one, but it'll do. So what happens is the I Ching, what we do is we actually go around the wheel. And so each one of the gates goes all the way around the wheel, and we're going to go counterclockwise around the wheel, just as we would with the zodiac, right? And so each one of the gates is associated with a different zodiac, and so we can go through the wheel that way. So I will, I'll have it up for next time.
Okay, no worries. Kaz is here. Hello, Kaz, and said, "Is this related to biorhythms?"
You know what? I haven't done any connections specifically with biorhythms. The other side, it very well might, though, because just like we each have our own unique design, we each have our own unique biorhythm.
Yes.
And that biorhythm is going to ebb and flow based on different things that are happening in the body. And because human design is connected with the organs, right? It's DNA, our genetic, DNA is a part of it, or our organs, amino acids, and all of that. There is definitely a potential for a connection there.
Yeah. And I think this goes back to that idea of there's a delicate balance with this is we could be doing all sorts of exploration about understanding ourselves and how we naturally are.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't apply some of it, we get overwhelmed, and that can be a bit of a challenge. So I encourage everybody to consider getting your body graph, downloading that, and start reading and becoming aware, watching some of the videos, because our next video is going to be about mental health and how human design supports our mental health.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This is a smaller version of it, but that's the wheel I was looking for. This one's mine, actually.
Okay.
But as you can see, and if I hold it up, I don't know if it'll clear or not, but it's got in here, you'll see all of the zodiac signs around the edge of it, and then you've got all of the numbers.
Very nice. Jen, thank you. It's been great. Holy mackerel.
Thank you so much for asking me.
It was like a month since
it's been a while.
Yeah. So I want to say thank you to everybody for spending time with us. Like and subscribe to the video. If you are looking for ways to support my channel, there are links below to where you can make a PayPal donation and ways you can contact me for a private reading. So I am making myself more available to do that, because this is what I love to do. And so I want to say thank you all, and we will see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye.